Okay, this is a video for those that were asking for more information about this Ninja, which I just finished. I actually just did the balance on it. Spent the morning getting the radio gear all installed. I've been horsing around with getting the radio mixes all set up, so it's taken me a bit. But yeah, I spent quite a bit of time cleaning up the wrinkles on the covering, which, you know, it seems like the more time you spend on it, the better it gets. So I probably spent a few hours on covering alone. Anyways, so let's take a look at this thing. So you can see I've got this thing pretty well balanced. Based on what the booklet says, you're supposed to get a balance of about 4 inches, 4 to 4.5 inches from the wing root, 4 inches for more amateur pilots, 4.5 for, you know, more experience. So let's see. So bring that in, and you can see right on the money there. We're kind of right at the yeah, you can see anyways, right about 4 inches. So that should be perfect. This side should be right about the same. Yep. Sorry, trying to shoot the video and all that. Anyways, you can see right on the money, about 4 inches. So that's good. Anyways, you see nice and balanced, nice and level. All right, so let's talk about what's going on inside this thing. So in my radio, I have this set up where, you know, you have obviously, trying to get back here, you obviously got the rudder, elevator, and then my ailerons, of course. But then I also mixed in flaps. So when this thing's coming in for a landing, it should make it a little bit easier. Also, I kind of need to do this to get the wings on and off, because that was the other question that people had. Obviously, the body's pretty thin. What's going on underneath? So let me take off the top here. So one thing I want to say is that I weighed this thing after I balanced it. It's coming in at 2.5 pounds, and I had to put in about 7 ounces of weight to balance it, which I was really surprised on. But, you know, that's my lack of experience. I don't really know what it needs, but that's what it needed to get it in balance. So let me take the canopy cover off. And here we can see the 2 servos driving the elevator and rudder. And there's all that lead that I had placed inside of it. Underneath this, there's a little clip to clip it to the dowel right there. So when this comes down, it clasps on. Okay, let me quickly take off the wing so you can see what's going on underneath the wing. Okay, so. Screw's kind of tight. Obviously hasn't gone in and out very many times, and the way they had you do this, you drill the hole through the basswood that's underneath, and then they have you put some CA glue in there to kind of harden the hole so that you can then thread it. So I've done that, but it's still pretty tight. So I'm going to take the wing off. Let me go ahead and get the servos disconnected here. All right, so inside the fuselage we have my FrSky receiver. It is a what is it? A GRX? Yeah, GRX8. This thing has built-in telemetry. It's kind of made for gliders. That's what the G stands for. I have my Beck to lower the voltage, and then a 2-cell LiPo, so that's obviously the gear that's in there. And then under the wing, so this is where I did my own little fabrication. You're supposed to, the original design for this is to have a single servo, you know, with the wheel inside that spins both of these. Well, I wanted to be able to do flaps, so it's obviously not possible with a single servo. So I have added 2 micro servos. It is a little challenging because you're right, this is kind of narrow. In order to get the wing on and off, I have to set the flaps, you know, all the way down so that the things can fit down inside there. There's some little lips in here, so once I've got it in, it works okay, but I can tell that I've got some rubbing taking place, so I might need to either do a little grinding inside the body or maybe try and take a little bit off these, but there's not a lot of extra plastic there. If I go too crazy, I might end up, ruining the servo horn. So we'll see. Anyways, so let's get a little bit closer look at my covering job here. So this is the underside of the wing, of course. So I used a single roll of black Ultra Coat. I did the wings first. They turned out fine. Once I moved over to the body, I had to kind of get real crafty with my cuts. So there's some overlapping pieces because I didn't want to have to go buy a whole nother roll for that. And then I have the two stripes. If you Google the SIG Ninja, you can see the original livery for it. I believe it's a 2-inch stripe, red, orange, yellow. So I went with just two colors, the red and yellow. I think it turned out pretty nice. So there's my wing, obviously end to end, that's the bottom. Then if you flip it over, there's the top. And then, it has the Ninja sticker in the box. I put that on. And, there's the rest of the left side of the top of the wing. And let's get a closer look at the covering job on the glider itself, or the fuselage. So there you can kind of see, I spent quite a bit of time trying to get as many wrinkles out as possible. So there's my elevator, bottom side of the fuselage. I haven't added the skid plate, but there's the double-sided tape for that. So turned out pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with that. Anyway, it's not bad for a first model. Paired with this, I have my X18 transmitter. I really like it. Funny thing with this, though, is that with kind of the current releases of Ethos, the graphics don't want to load really well, so that's kind of a strange problem. I did add the graphics for this, but it just doesn't pull up. I had the same issue with adding a couple other things in here, so I had to kind of tweak it to get some of them to work, like this Genesis. I had to play around with the graphics until it was happy with it. I don't know why. It's all within spec. I just don't know why the Ninja graphics don't load. But you can see I've got my Fireball Havoc, and then I've got my MCPX in there, and then the sim configuration. Let me show you my mixes here. So I've got my ailerons on channels 1 and 5, elevator 2, rudders 4, and then flaps back on 1 and 5. If you look at the elevator, I've added a little bit of Expo in there, so that way, well, yeah, you know what Expo does. And then flaps is just a flat curve starting from the 0 to negative 100. And so, so if we go back there, and you can see if I, right, so you can see it going halfway full. So anyways, that's it. That's the SIG Ninja. This is a really old school glider. When I was a kid, I saw these at the hobby store, and it was one of the more expensive gliders at the store, so I could never afford one. And it was kind of fun to build this just because, a little nostalgia. So I'm pretty happy with it. Hopefully I get some feedback. Be curious to hear what you guys have to say. But that's it. That's a wrap.